I'd like to introduce you to my pet. This is Toby. Would you put this up on the screens? This is Toby the Tortoise. This is what Toby looked like when my wife found him in the woods near our home 14 years ago. He was so tiny that she was able to zip him up completely in her Sony Walkman case and bring him home to show to our son Cameron, who was only a year old at the time. And ever since that day, by the way, this is my boy Cameron when he was 1 year old. Ever since that day, Toby has wandered our fenced-in backyard. My son and Toby have grown up together. And this is a picture of Toby taken several months later, being held by a little girl in our neighborhood. Toby's very popular with the children. And this is a picture of Toby full grown. The picture was taken in the summer of 2001. Toby is full grown, held by my daughter Sarah, who is sitting with a family friend. At least, we thought Toby was full grown. Because up until this stage of his development, we just assumed that Toby was an ordinary run-of-the-mill Texas box tortoise. But we were wrong. Boy, were we wrong. Let me show you what Toby looks like now. And that kid is 7 feet tall. Okay, I made that part up. Toby, as it turns out, is an African sulcata. Obviously, somebody's exotic pet that escaped as a baby. Toby weighs 80 pounds or more and is only half grown. His species is the largest land tortoise in the world outside the Galapagos Islands. This next picture is my son Cameron when he was 9. That's his third grade teacher who calls him on the phone each year and asks him if he'll bring Toby to the school so the children can play with him. This next picture was taken at Halloween. Toby went trick-or-treating as Lady Gaga. And the family resemblance is astonishing. And this is what Toby will look like in 10 years and 100 years. Because if Toby lives out his full life expectancy, by the time he dies, I will already have been in the grave for almost a century. Toby is a magnificent creature, but Toby has a problem. Toby has a problem I'll bet some of you have. Toby has a self-image problem. The next belief of a remarkably effective leader is they believe in the power of self-confidence. Your employees want to work with somebody who believes you can follow me and I'll get you there. Oh, but Toby doesn't have that quality. No, Toby has a self-image problem. Toby is huge, but he thinks he's small. We have a wrought iron gate that leads from our back sidewalk to our driveway. The iron bars are 2.5 inches apart. I measured them. Toby is constantly trying to walk between them. He gets his head through and has no idea why he stops. He'll walk in place for 2 solid minutes before he figures out he hasn't gone anywhere. Toby is forever trying to walk under things that are only 6 inches high. We'll be sitting at the dinner table, look out the back window, and see lawn furniture moving across the yard. I have one final picture to show you. This is Toby hiding. He'll stay there for hours thinking nobody can see him. You see, after living with Toby for more than a dozen years, I'm convinced he has no idea that back part even exists. Toby is huge, but he thinks he's small. And because he thinks he's small, he lives as though he is small. Every year, Toby has grown larger, heavier, stronger, more powerful. Until present day, he is downright unstoppable. Even as our old wooden fence has grown progressively more rickety and rotten. There are places I can break it off with 2 fingers. On just about any day of the last 5 years, Toby could have walked right through it like it was made of paper. If only he knew that he could. I've told my friends for years that if Toby ever figures out what a magnificent and powerful creature he is, God help us all. We won't be able to keep him. We'll have to put him in a zoo. Toby is not confined by our fence. Toby is imprisoned by his ridiculously low estimation of his own capabilities. Toby is held captive by his overblown, exaggerated view of the obstacle that lay in his path. If he figures out what a magnificent and powerful creature he is, God help us all. And if you ever figure out what a magnificent and powerful creature you are, God help anybody who tries to stand between you and your dreams.